Good morning, Transit. Hope you guys are doing well. So today, after our video, we're going to be having virtual small groups. So make sure you hop on there and hang out with your small group leader for a little bit. These are actually going to be our last virtual small group. So next time you see your small group leader, it should be in person, hopefully. Speaking of that, we actually have an event, an opportunity for you to come hang out with everyone and your small group leader. This week we're going bowling at Fort Walton Beach Bowl. Your parents should have an email with all the details for that, so make sure you ask them about it so that you can be there. It's going to be a ton of fun. But today we're going to be finishing our Love Hate series. We're going to be talking about what it means for love to be your filter. So what does it look like to look at other people with a lens of love, to look at people how Jesus looked at them, basically. And after that, make sure you hop on for your small groups, and we'll see you soon.
Have you ever noticed how brands you wear seem to say something about the type of person you are? Whether that's a good thing or not, I'm not sure, but when I was in high school, that was exactly how it worked. For me, Abercrombie meant you were a preppy person. Hollister, maybe you were just a little bit more laid back. And Under Armour meant you were a sporty person. I don't know a lot of sports, but I'm assuming that's what it meant. Brands have always been something people use to express a little bit of who they are, or what they want people to think they are. They also tend to represent the group you are part of or you want to be a part of. For whatever reason, it seems like the brands we wear build the reputation we have. I'm not sure that clothes and accessories say everything about a person, but once you're rolling with a specific group and have a reputation, it can be hard to shake. But more than how the brands we wear contribute to what people think about us, our reputations are made out of all sorts of things and bring all kinds of assumptions about who we are. Just think about the various groups in your school and think about the assumptions that you have made about people who are part of them. Assumptions like, every rich kid is blank. All athletes are blank. The smart kids always blank. The cheerleaders are blank. The mathletes are blank. The kids who vape are blank. We often fill in the blanks about other people with our assumptions. Whether we know the person or not, it doesn't matter. We know their reputation, and to us, that says more than enough about them. And we may not know anything about this person other than the group that they are connected to. And yet, suddenly we feel like we know enough to make a snap judgment about them and write them off. So where do we get these assumptions from? Well, I think that they come from a lot of places, but 3 common ones stand out the most. First, experiences. We have experiences of what someone like them did or said to us, and we use those experiences to prejudge what this person is like. Second, limited perspective. If we know of something someone did or said that was wrong, we build an entire case about them being a bad person and take one thing that we don't like about them and make a judgment on everything about them. And third, insecurities. Sometimes our assumptions are formed from our own insecurities. The person that we're filling in the blank about has something that we want or wish we had. Maybe they have the starting position on the team, or the grade that we can't seem to achieve, or the house our family could never afford, and we just can't stand it. We automatically assume the worst about them because they remind us of how far we feel from being the best. Our personal experiences, limited perspective, and insecurities help shape the assumptions we make. They help fill in the blanks when we think about other people. And this can be a real problem if we really want to be known for love rather than hate. And if we're really honest with ourselves, filling in the blanks is sometimes another way to hate on people. Because often, when we assume something based on our judgment, we don't fill the blank with something nice. We don't take the time to actually get to know the whole story of a person because we think that we have it all figured out. We don't give them a chance because we assume that our judgment is right. We make all sorts of assumptions about people we barely even know. Or we assume we know someone based on the group that they're a part of, without even giving them a chance to show us who they really are. It's another way for us to hate on them without getting to know them. And the ironic part is that we would never want someone else to do this to us. So why do we so quickly do this to others? Why don't we slow down and challenge our assumptions? There's a moment from Jesus' life that may be able to help us. Jesus was in the middle of a tense encounter with some of the religious leaders in Israel at the time. These teachers of the law and Pharisees were a big deal in religious circles, and they had a brand of self-righteousness that they thought set them apart from everyone else. So when Jesus came around and started spending time with the people the religious leaders had branded as sinners, or people who weren't as close to God as they were, things got very tense. They actually started trying to catch Jesus off guard with questions that they hoped would prove that he was a phony. They wanted him to slip up and answer something in a way that took away his credibility and made him look bad. During one of these encounters, after some people had gathered to listen to Jesus teach in the temple, the religious leader caught a woman in an R-rated situation. So they dragged her in front of Jesus to see how he would handle the punishment. And I think that what happened here shows us a different way to live instead of filling in the blank about other people's reputation. Now check this out. As he was speaking, the teachers of the religious law and Pharisees brought a woman who had been caught in the act of adultery. They put her in front of the crowd. "Teacher," they said to Jesus, "this woman has been caught in the act of adultery. The law of Moses says to stone her. What do you say?" They were trying to trap him into saying something that they could use against him. Now, just to be clear about the awkwardness of this woman was caught in the sexual activity with someone other than her husband, or maybe even someone else's husband. And now she's on trial in front of Jesus. These guys wanted Jesus to condemn her to die. Now, I realize that this seems a bit extreme to us today, but the rules were pretty straightforward back then. If you behaved like her, then you get severe punishment. Now, these guys came to Jesus assuming they knew the rules and exactly how he was supposed to respond to this woman because of them. After all, God's son should know and follow the same rules as the religious leaders, right? Well, let's take a look at what happens next and see for ourselves. But Jesus stooped down and wrote in the dust with his finger. Now, they kept demanding an answer. So he stood up again and said, "All right, but let the one who has never sinned throw the first stone." Then he stooped down again and wrote in the dust. When the accusers heard this, they slipped away one by one, beginning with the oldest, until only Jesus was left in the middle of the crowd with the woman. Then Jesus stood up again and said to the woman, "Where are your accusers? Didn't even one of them condemn you?" "No, Lord," she said. And Jesus said, "Neither do I. Go and sin no more." What a moment. I'm not sure we can fully understand the tension of this moment. These religious leaders who build their brand on appearing better than others and showcasing other sins are totally put in their place. So basically, Jesus was saying, you are quick to point out what everyone else is doing wrong, but what about you? Have you ever gotten it wrong? Then one by one, these leaders realized their plan backfired. Jesus kindly and lovingly releases this woman who is literally afraid for her life and tells her to go in freedom and to live her life differently. Can you imagine? Now, don't miss this. Everyone here was guilty of something, both the religious leaders and the woman. But Jesus didn't let this woman's guilt be the end of her story. He didn't let her mistake fill in the blanks for her life. Jesus challenged her to change by saying, "Go and sin no more." That was Jesus' brand, love. And it's exactly what you and I should be about too. But isn't it true that sometimes we are more on brand with the religious leaders? Don't we often fill in the blanks about other people based on their behavior one time? And maybe what they did was wrong, but maybe it was just something that we didn't like. And all of a sudden, we've decided that they are a certain way because of something we prefer or don't prefer. But Jesus' approach to this situation in the story teaches us something different. Everyone branded this woman as bad. Everyone judged her based on this one thing she had done. But Jesus saw her as more than this one thing. He didn't write a story about who she was because of what she had been caught doing. He didn't fill in the blank for her. He didn't see her with an assumption made about her or a judgment made about her. He saw her as a whole person. And as a whole person, he saw her as being deserving of another chance. Jesus proved that we are more than the assumptions and judgments of others. We are worthy of forgiveness, grace, and a second chance because of his love for us. And we can extend the same forgiveness, grace, and love to others too. What if this was the approach that you and I started to take when forming our opinions of other people? What if instead of filling in the blanks with assumptions and judgments, we chose to assume the best and judge everyone as people, not just by their actions? What if we chose to see them as being worthy of love? What if we chose to let love fill in the blank? This will change a lot about the way we think about and treat other people, wouldn't it? Not only that, this will also change a lot about the way we think of ourselves too. We may wind up realizing that we are not as terrible as other people made us feel, or we are not as perfect as we may think. There is something both encouraging and humbling about Jesus' approach. It puts us all on the same level. As people God loves and people Jesus died to forgive and set free, not just a sum total of all of our actions. In other words, when we're filling in the blanks with judgment or hate, we are only seeing part of a person, their actions, whatever they did that was wrong or something that we didn't like. But when we fill in the blanks with love, we are seeing others as humans, more than what they have or have not done. We are seeing them as individuals worthy of love, grace, and forgiveness. So when the opportunities for assumptions and judgments start flying at you, take these steps towards a new approach. Stop and think about how others have filled in the blanks about you. When you're in the process of filling in the blanks for someone else with something other than love, stop. Stop and think about your own life. Now, don't get down on your imperfections, but instead remember how much grace and love you've needed to be where you are today. Remember, Jesus' forgiveness brought you to a place where your life started to change for the better. Then, treat other people the way Jesus had treated you, with grace and love, assuming their best days can be ahead of them. Next, think about how you have wrongly filled in the blanks for someone else. Who is someone you think you know, but you really don't? Who have you filled in the blanks for in a negative way without even learning their whole story? What if instead of filling the blanks about him or her with assumptions, you fill in the blanks with what you do know? Then start to get in the habit of challenging your assumptions about others, because now you do know the way Jesus sees them, as someone deserving of love, grace, and kindness. What if you chose to fill in the blanks about them with Jesus' brand of compassion? What if you chose to let love fill in the blank? When we choose to follow Jesus' example and take these steps, we are choosing to let love fill in the blanks instead of our quick and shallow assumptions and judgments. Jesus' example shows us how to form healthy opinions of others by filling in the blanks about them with love, not hate, using grace and truth. Just imagine what would happen if this is how we spend our time forming opinions of those around us. Instead of assumptions, stereotypes, and preconceived notions based on one part of a person, every opinion we form about others will be all about how worth loving they are. In fact, Even if you're new to church or still unsure about all this Christianity stuff, wouldn't you want to be around a brand of people who treated others this way? If this is really what Jesus is about, doesn't it cost you to be a little more interested in his brand? We can be people who let love fill in the blanks about others. When we do this, we will be people known for our love of others, just like Jesus was, just like Jesus intended his people to be.